Now at 6, demonstrators standing with day laborers against immigration raids, following the death of one worker who was hit by a car while running from agents last week.
America, the liberal media is having an absolute meltdown over a tragic incident at a Home Depot in California, and they're using it to attack Trump's immigration enforcement in the most dishonest way possible. A man died after running onto a freeway after an ICE operation, and instead of reporting the facts, the media is spinning this into some type of anti-ICE propaganda. But here's what they won't tell you. ICE wasn't even chasing this guy. They didn't even know about his death until hours after the operation was finished. But wait, it gets worse. These protesters showing up at these scenes, they're almost exclusively white liberals who don't even live in these communities, screaming about chaos and terror, while actual residents are just trying to get to work and support their families.
Demonstrations happening at Home Depot locations today, which have become a familiar target for those raids as day laborers gather outside the stores looking for work.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This story perfectly shows how media manufactures outrage to undermine legitimate law enforcement while ignoring the real facts of what actually happened. Let me break down what actually happened at the Home Depot in California, because the media coverage has been absolutely dishonest from the start.
It was during an ICE operation here yesterday. Witnesses say a day laborer, was seen running through the parking lot, right through Evergreen Avenue there and onto the freeway, the 210 freeway, where he was struck. Witnesses say that man was yelling for help at passing vehicles before he was hit.
Here are the facts. ICE was conducting an operation at a Home Depot in California. A man ran from the parking lot across the street onto the 210 freeway and was tragically struck by a vehicle. This is an absolutely terrible tragedy, but let me be clear about what happened. This man made the decision to run on a busy freeway.
Meanwhile, Homeland Security officials insist the man was not being chased, and they say they didn't know about his death until hours later after the operation wrapped up.
And ICE agents didn't even know about his death until hours after the operation was completed. So this wasn't some high-speed chase or aggressive pursuit. This was somebody who panicked and made this tragic decision on their own. But you won't hear that context in most media coverage because it destroys their narrative about ICE agents chasing him to his death. Now watch how the media spins this tragedy to attack immigration enforcement instead of reporting the actual facts.
Night in Monrovia, a day after a day laborer was struck and killed as he tried to escape from ICE agents. Witnesses say Roberto Carlos Montoya ran onto the freeway when federal agents entered the nearby Home Depot.
Now I want you to notice the language here, as he tried to escape from ICE agents. This makes it sound like ICE agents were chasing him, when we know from official sources he wasn't being pursued. The media is deliberately creating false impressions to generate outrage.
Montoya was a 53-year-old grandfather from Guatemala. His niece, Mariella, telling the crowd tonight that he was here only 2 years and was not a violent criminal. But as federal agents began rounding people up yesterday, Montoya ran onto the nearby 210 freeway and was struck and killed.
The media is painting this as ICE targeting innocent grandfathers who aren't violent criminals. But here's the thing. If you're here illegally, immigration enforcement applies to you regardless whether you're violent or not. That's how the law works. And nobody forced this man to run onto the freeway. Now let's talk about these protesters, because this is where the story gets really interesting. Look who's actually showing up to these demonstrations.
They marched in silence through a Monrovia parking lot. Hundreds mourning the loss of Roberto Carlos Montoya, a day laborer killed while fleeing an ICE raid yesterday at this Home Depot.
Hundreds of protesters showed up, but look at the footage. These aren't day laborers or people from the local community. These are professional activists, mostly white liberals, who show up to every ICE protest with their pre-made signs and talking points.
Tonight, at one point, as the march wound its way past the storefront, an angry driver forced his way through the crowd, fishtailing near the protesters and then speeding off. Luckily, no one got hurt.
Of course, they're blocking traffic and disrupting local business. A driver got so fed up with these protesters blocking the street that he drove through them. But the media presents this as evidence as community anger, when it's actually evidence on how these outside aggregators are disrupting the neighborhood.
Those suing the Trump administration over its practices say that through agencies like ICE, it is creating dangerous conditions.
It's not only creating an unprecedented risk, but it is deliberately fostering conditions that are leading to harm and death.
Listen to this activist claim that ICE is deliberately fostering conditions that are leading to harm and death. This is absolutely ridiculous. ICE is conducting routine immigration enforcement. The dangerous conditions was created when somebody decided to run onto the freeway, not when ICE showed up and enforced immigration law. This is part of a broader pattern where media uses tragic accidents to attack immigration enforcement instead of addressing the real issues.
Last month, Jaime Alanis Garcia died during an immigration raid in Camarillo after falling 30 feet, believed to be running from federal agents chasing him. Thursday, a man fleeing immigration agents in Monrovia was struck and killed on the 210 freeway.
The media is creating a narrative that ICE operations are inherently dangerous by listing every incident where somebody got hurt while running from immigration enforcement. But they'll never ask the obvious question: why are people running onto freeways or jumping in front of trains instead of just cooperating with law enforcement?
We had another case a couple of months ago where a man was running away from the kidnappers and he was struck by a metro or a train and he lost his arm.
Did you catch that? The activists accidentally called ICE agents kidnappers instead of officers. This shows you the mindset of these protesters. They view legitimate law enforcement as criminal activity. And again, somebody got hurt because they chose to run in front of a train, not because ICE forced them to. Here's what the media doesn't want you to understand about these Home Depot operations. They're targeting locations where day laborers gather, many of whom working illegally in the United States. This isn't about targeting innocent people. This is about enforcing immigration law.
Show us your papers.
Mayor Rex Richardson says federal agents will hear that phrase, show us your papers, after the council approved reforms to make it tougher for agents to access some city property without proper paperwork.
Now liberal mayors are literally telling ICE agents to show us your papers, using language historically associated with authoritarian regimes to interfere with federal immigration enforcement. They're more concerned about protecting people who are here illegally than they are following federal law.
I think it's a great idea. It feels nice, going to a place that you feel secure, that you feel safe.
Kevin Alcarez, co-owner of Plantita's plant store, plans to sign up for that certificate. He says his store and others in the area have taken an economic hit since the raids have started, with less traffic and customers.
The media finds business owners who comply about economic impacts from immigration enforcement, but they'll never interview an American worker who might get a job because illegal employment was eliminated. They never talk to communities that suffer from wage depression because of illegal labor. America, this story shows exactly how liberal media operates. They take a tragic incident, someone running onto a freeway and getting killed, and turn it into anti-ICE propaganda without reporting the basic facts. The facts are simple. ICE was conducting a routine operation. A man chose to run onto a busy freeway, and he was tragically killed. ICE wasn't chasing him, didn't even know about his death until hours later, and followed all proper procedures. But the media wants you to believe that ICE agents are responsible for his death. The protesters showing up aren't even from the local community. They're professional activists who show up to every anti-ICE event with their pre-made signs and talking points. You guessed it, they're mostly white liberals who live in gated communities, but want to lecture working class Americans about immigration policies. Meanwhile, ICE is doing exactly what they're supposed to do, enforcing immigration law and removing people who are here illegally. The tragedy isn't that ICE is doing their job. The tragedy is that somebody made a panic decision that cost him his life. This is why Americans voted for Trump and support strong immigration enforcement. We're tired of the media using tragic accidents to attack law enforcement. We're tired of activists treating immigration law like it's optional. And we're tired of being lectured by people who don't live with the consequences of illegal immigration. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comments section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.